Hello everyone, I'm Shantae and welcome to another video with FiTaEats. Today I am going to be making Red Velvet Protein Pancakes. So since February of this year, I've been eating protein pancakes almost every day. I don't know why I love them. And I've tried to make them, well, I won't say I tried. I've actually made protein pancakes from scratch, but it's a lot easier when you buy a pre-made mix that already has the protein in it. So today I'm going to be using as my base Kodiak cakes, and this is actually the only brand that I eat. I've had a few different flavors. This one is the whole wheat oat and honey. I've had cinnamon and oats. I've had the dark chocolate, and they also have buttermilk and a few other flavors. I know peanut butter and whatever else, but I'm pretty simple, so I tend to stick with only certain flavors. Now I would have preferred to use the buttermilk, but I've never purchased the buttermilk before, so I'm actually using this as a base. And I've actually used this as a base for other pancake breakfasts that I've had, and it actually turned out great. So I didn't taste any of the other, like the oats or honey or anything in there, and it worked out good. So I'm using that as the base. Like I said, it's red velvet, so I'm gonna be putting a little bit of this Hershey's unsweetened special dark cocoa mix in there. And of course, red velvet will not be red velvet without the red food coloring. And then for my liquids, other liquids, I'm using unsweetened almond milk. I actually drink cow's milk. I know a lot of people that don't, but this is just what I had on hand. So actually you can use any milk. I've actually used water before. So as far as the liquid to get your batter to whatever consistency you want to get it to, that's totally up to you. And then no, this is not vodka. I actually make homemade vanilla extract. So you actually make it from vodka and real vanilla beans. So I just used the container that the vodka came in to and put the vanilla beans up in here. And this has actually been in here for quite a while. I know you all might not be able to see it, but that is all of those yummy beans down there, those vanilla beans, and they're very small. So normally what I would do, I would actually cut up the actual pod. I do not try to scrape the beans out because they're so small. So I would cut up like the pods individually and then let it soak in the vodka. And I actually let it soak for months, but this has actually been in here for a few years. It does not go bad. So you can keep it forever. So the shelf life is like to infinity and beyond. So let's get started. I have some stuff back here, but that's gonna be for later on after we get our pancakes cooked. So I actually weigh all my food. I like to try different foods. I like to experiment with things. I also like to stay fit. So I have a scale here and I weigh out everything. Totally up to you if you wanna weigh your items. And I tend to go by serving sizes. So everything that I'm doing will be based upon the serving size that I have. So for Kodiak cakes, it's always 53 grams. So I'm going to weigh out 53 grams of the dry mix. Yeah, and I weigh everything. Condiments, so if I'm eating a burger, it will take me forever to make my burger because I'm weighing out the Miracle Whip and the ketchup, mustard, everything. If I'm cutting up onions, I'm weighing that out. The pickles, pretty much everything, even the meat. Preferably the meat, I'll weigh the meat before I cook it, so I'll get the true weight of it. And then I log everything into my Fitness Pal. Like I said, I like to be very health conscious and fit. So we have our pancake mix in here. As far as, this is the first time I'm making it. So disclaimer, this is the first time I'm making this. So I do expect greatness. So I do expect this to come out pretty good. I actually used to own a online bakery for a few years, and then I got into real estate, which is, you know, other than doing this, like making my videos and stuff, I do real estate. So when I started real estate, it was very time consuming. Even though I love it, it's still very time consuming. So I ended up having to let the online bakery go, but the baker in me always comes out. So this is probably why I came up with this whole, let's see how I can put a twist on my pancakes. So basically what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna clear my scale here. I wanna put maybe this is a 1/4 teaspoon here. So maybe I'm gonna put 2 of these. So maybe like a 1/2 teaspoon, because when I make red velvet cake, I'm not using a ton of cocoa powder. So I just put 1/4 teaspoons of cocoa powder. Now this is the special dark. You do not have to use the special dark. You can use the other one. Unfortunately, my son also likes to experiment with his pancakes, and he used the other one. So we don't have any more. From there, I'm actually gonna take, I should have grabbed a whisk, but I have a regular spoon. So, but I wanna mix this together. Kind of get the 2 powders mixed together as much as possible. And with red velvet, you only want a hint of chocolate. That's even when you make the cake, even though, you know, this is nowhere near as much, you know, mix as I would have with a cake, you only use a little bit, because the cocoa powder itself, the more you use, the darker your food is going to come out. So you only want that hint of chocolate, and then you're gonna add in, so that should actually be pretty good. Hopefully you all can see that. So it's not the same color as it was before. So it does have a hint of chocolate. Like I said, I use a 1/2 tablespoon. Now, usually when it comes to the liquid, I usually just kind of eyeball the liquid. I never really measure it out. I know some people tend to like their pancakes different ways. I like mine to be a certain consistency. And I'm gonna actually turn my stove, my eye on here, so my pan can start to heat up and be hot. But I'm gonna measure it out anyway for the sake of the video. So I'm gonna start off with an ounce. Reason I'm gonna do an ounce to start off with, and by all means, you do not have to measure things out. I'm only starting off with an ounce because I have other liquids to add. I do not want it to end up so runny that when I put the pancakes on my griddle, that they just start to run all over the pan like I just made scrambled eggs or something. So as far as the vanilla extract, usually I tend to eyeball a lot of things, but I want to give you all the correct measurements of what I'm using based upon the serving sizes that I'm using. So for this is 3 grams. 3 grams is about, a teaspoon is about 5 grams, so maybe you could say a 1/2 teaspoon or so. And then I'm going to use a little bit of my food coloring. This has actually never been opened, so hopefully I don't stain my nails. So be careful with that. You will stain clothes, nails, countertops, everything. So I am actually going to put about a 1/4 teaspoon in there. Actually, I'm not even filling this all the way up, so almost full. So I only need a little bit. I don't want it to taste weird. You know, red food coloring, red dye, all of that tends to have that medicine taste. I know a few people that do not like red velvet because of that reason. You know what, guys? I'm gonna grab a whisk, which I think is in my dishwasher. It is. So as you can see, we're getting our bright red there. I'm gonna put a little bit more of the almond milk. So now that I've added other liquids, I can finish it on up with my unsweetened almond milk, and it's vanilla flavored almond milk. So I'm actually getting vanilla from my pure vanilla extract that I made, as well as the almond milk. So that's about an ounce. So far we're up to 2 ounces of the almond milk. Now I'm gonna want this to be a certain consistency. And just as a side note for people that may not bake or whatever, when you make red velvet cake, one of the ways to really make it truly that bright red, because now we have a little hint of pink here, what you would want to do is add a little vinegar. I'm not adding vinegar to my pancakes. I don't mind vinegar, but I don't want it in my pancakes. So I'm gonna do a 1/2 ounce. So now we're up to 2.5 ounces. So I hope you guys' breakfast will be as good as mine today. Or if you're watching this and it's not breakfast time, hopefully you've had an awesome breakfast. So yesterday I played around with my pancakes. Oh my gosh, I made these cinnamon roll pancakes and it tastes just like a Cinnabon. So if you're not familiar with the company Cinnabon, look them up. They have the best cinnamon rolls ever. Yes, like I said, I like to be able to eat whatever I want. I don't believe in diets. A lot of people ask me, well, why do you work out so much? You know, you're so small, or, you know, what type of diet are you on? I'm like, I'm not on a diet. I'm not trying to diet. I just want to live a healthy lifestyle. I actually started my healthier lifestyle. It's weird the way I started it. So this is a good consistency, at least for me. So pretty decent consistency. It's still kind of like lumpy in a way, but it's not runny to the point where it's like just pouring off of your spoon. Like I said, you don't want to put it on your griddle and then it starts to spray it everywhere. And yes, I'm sorry if this scraping is annoying you. The thing is, I tend to scrape my bowls. Reason being, I don't want this stuff going down my drain clogging it. I don't have the pleasure of calling a landlord saying, hey, my drain is clogged. I have to be responsible for that bill. So hopefully you guys can see this. Hopefully the angle of my camera is pretty decent. So my 53 grams of mix normally makes maybe two 4-inch pancakes. Like I said, I tend to deal with serving sizes a lot. By all means, however much you want, go with that. You do not have to do a serving size. Also, you do not have to eat Kodiak cakes. You can actually go with whatever pancake mix you want, whether it be Aunt Jemima or Krusteaz. I actually buy Krusteaz for my children. And they love them. So while this is cooking, let's chat a little bit. So a little bit about me. Like I said, I started my healthier lifestyle back in 2008. So in high school, I always considered myself like way too skinny. And then after high school, like I was working and going to college and stuff like that, I used to always look at me. It's not that I wasn't happy with my body. I was just like, oh, I'm too skinny. You know, I need to do something, whatever. And I never did. I ended up having a kid. So I had my first kid. She's 18 now. And when I got pregnant with her, I was 145 pounds. So in high school, I was like 135. So I got pregnant with her. I was 145 pounds. Once I was at full term, I had like ballooned up to 180 something pounds, but I was like always super hungry and I wasn't health conscious back then. So I wasn't even thinking about, you know, the weight gain. I was just like, hey, it's all a baby weight and it'll go away. So I did drop down to like 160 some pounds, but I opted not to go back to my job. I was actually still living at home at the time. So I opted not to go back to my job and decided that I would stay at home with her until she was about 5 or 6 months. And it's time to flip these. So another way, guys, you know that, you know, your pancakes are ready to be flipped. The way they start to look on top, they'll start to puff up. Some pancakes will start to, you see the little holes in the top, like the air bubbles. So the air bubbles will start to pop or whatever. It just depends on the pancake. These really don't do it as much, I've noticed, and I think it could be, I can't say it's what I just added because I've noticed that even when I don't add anything. I think it could just be the protein in there. I'm not quite sure. But this is what I have so far. So two little pancakes here. And I know you all are probably thinking, is that really gonna fill her up? So before I started filming, I actually made egg whites and turkey sausage. So my breakfast is pretty much the same. It's always egg whites, turkey sausage or bacon, and then my pancakes. And I always go by a serving size. Like I said, that's just my preference. So anyway, so back to what I was saying. So, so me staying at home with her, I got back to like, so like I said, after I had her, delivery, everything, I was like 160 some pounds. And then not really even realizing it, staying home with her, I got up to like 180 freaking 5 pounds. Didn't even realize it until I was going on job interviews and my clothes wouldn't fit anymore. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what did I do? So, you know, I didn't complain. I was happy in my body. I was cool. Like, I'm like, I'm good. So this is actually ready. I'm actually going to put this on my plate. Now, I know some people might like butter and stuff on your pancakes. I tend to use a little bit of Smart Balance. The Smart Balance Light, actually. Most of the things I get probably will be light or whatever. I'm a label reader, so I look at the label. So this is the Smart Balance Light with flaxseed oil. I usually weigh this as well, but for the sake of this video, I will not get on you all's nerves by weighing everything. So because I weigh so much, I tend to be able to eyeball things as well. So I've had a scale. I've owned a full scale since 2012. So this is probably like 2 grams. If I had it on, I would actually weigh it out, and I'm pretty sure that'll be like pretty spot on, 2 grams. So really quickly, I'm gonna finish telling you all the story because it's almost time to finish this on up. So yeah, so I gained this weight. I was happy in my body though. I was cool. If I walk away, guys, it's just because I'm putting things back in their respective places. So excuse me for that. Unfortunately, how I have things set up, I wanted you all to be able to view what I was doing and not end up having to see the entire kitchen, because then my camera would have to go back even further. I don't have a very huge kitchen. It's more of an open concept, so it's like open and then to the dining room, which I actually like. But like I was saying, so I'm 185 pounds and looking for a job, needing more clothes. Didn't realize I had got up to that size, but I was happy. And the job I ended up with, where was I working? So this was so long. Like I said, my kid is my oldest. I have 2. My oldest is 18 now, so I really don't remember. But anyway, fast forward to 2007, one New Year's. Now, I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. I don't know why, I just don't. But for the heck of it, I made a New Year's resolution to not drink any more soda. So 2007, I cold turkey stopped soda. And it was just like juice and water for me. And I mean, to this day, I have still no soda. I don't drink as much juice though, unless it's like 100% juice. All of the high fructose corn syrup, stuff like that. I mean, it's not that I don't consume high fructose corn syrup. I will from occasions. Like, I love McDonald's barbecue sauce. So that is like my contribution to high fructose corn syrup. Also, Ocean Spray makes this white strawberry, cranberry juice or whatever. I don't get it as much, but I love it. It has high fructose corn syrup in it. But other than that, I try to avoid it like the plague. But like I was stating, so stopped drinking soda in 2007. 2008, the company I was working for, the chairman of the company had a weight loss contest. And my coworkers actually convinced me to join the contest. I didn't want to. I'm like, I don't want to lose weight. I'm cool. I'm good. You know, I was, you know, not even 30 years old then. And I'm like, whatever, I'm good. but they was talking about how fun it is and how everyone has fun and blah, blah, blah. You can win money, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll join. What I didn't know at that moment when I committed to that contest, I went full speed ahead like a freaking train. Like from that point on, I was more health conscious, everything. I wanted to work out. I even at one point wanted to become a personal trainer. From that point, when I when I first got down from that 185 point, because my weigh-in day, I was like 185 pounds. After the contest was over, I was like 160 some pounds. So I lost about 20 pounds, ended up winning the contest, and decided that lifestyle was definitely for me. I wanted to be a personal trainer. Up until about, I don't know what year that I kind of like said, maybe I don't want to do that, but either way it goes, that's what I wanted to do. And I did end up becoming a Zumba fitness instructor, which I do not teach classes anymore. I just, have other priorities and things that I have going on, being a business owner that, pretty much takes up my time. So I haven't really found my niche to get back into that sector of things. But yeah, so right now, the way you're looking at me, I'm like 142-ish, 3-ish. I'm about 5'7", I think. And the only reason I say I think is because for years I'll go to the doctor, they'll get my height, and they'll say, oh, you're no. Actually, I don't even know how I figured out. It had to be at the doctor's office, like a physical or something. They always told me I was 5'7". Well, years later, into my adulthood, they would always say that I was 66 inches. And I'm like, 66 inches? I'm like, well, did I shrink an inch? I'm like, I know people will shrink when they get older, but I'm like, I don't think I'm at that age where, I'm shrinking in my 20s or my 30s or whatever. Like, I'm 40 and I'll be 41 next year. So I'm like, I don't know if I've shrunk over the years, but they swear up and down I'm 66 inches. Maybe it's like 66 and a half, 66 and 3/4. I don't know. I just say 5'7". That's what's on my driver's license. That's what I stick with. So I'm like 5'7", about 100 and let's say 43 pounds or whatever. And I'm pretty happy where I am. There are some things like I still need to work on fitness wise on me. But for the most part, a lot of people give me compliments like, you look great, hey, fitness guru, whatever, or they want some tips from me. I don't mind helping people out by any means necessary. One of the reasons I'm doing this video, other than to just, express myself through cooking, is because I want people to know that, yes, you can. Well, for me, I don't want everyone to think this and people come back and say, well, you said. I'm not a doctor. I'm not any type of professional with some special license or certification. I do have a license to sell real estate, and that's about it. So basically, I feel like people can eat whatever they want, especially myself, and not gain weight. You just have to you have to control your portions. If you choose to eat bad, I'm going to use the word bad, throughout the day, that may be fine for one day, but if you do that for the next X amount of days and you're not compensating with any type of physical activity, and I mean like real physical activity, not, oh, I went grocery shopping today. Well, that's physical activity and that's great. Maybe you did some house cleaning. That's physical activity and that's great. But how much physical activity did you do to actually get your heart rate up, to actually burn some calories, which is going to help you melt off the fat in pounds? So that's key. So earlier this week, my daughter and actually it was more so her. She wanted some chicken or something. And I think we were watching a mukbang, and more than likely it was probably Beloved's Life. I'm pretty sure, because we watch her a lot. So it may have been an episode with the fried chicken. I don't remember. But either way it goes, we decided we wanted some fried chicken. And like I said, it was more so her, and then she done suckered me into it. Because we'd gotten hungry sitting here watching other people eat. But sitting here, wanting fried chicken. And she said, man, I wish it could be crispy like that. So she found some party wings in the deep freezer in the basement. And I said, well, I have a deep fryer that I've never opened. So when I was baking and everything, I used to like do vendor shows and everything. I had actually purchased a deep fryer so I could do like fried pastries such as donuts. I don't even like donuts, but I would make them for other people. Or what is that, funnel cake. And I've never had funnel cake until maybe like a month or so ago. And it was actually funnel fries from Checkers, and it was like the best thing ever. Like, I've never been to a carnival or anywhere else, baseball game or whatever, and purchased this. Like, I've been to these places, but I've never actually purchased this stuff because I'm not big on those type of pastries like donuts and honey buns and stuff like that. I don't like that. I don't even really like yellow cake. Like, if I eat yellow cake, it's going to be, I make a 7-Up cake with pineapple and coconut frosting. That'll be the cake that I eat. So I'm not going to keep you all too much longer because I don't even know how long this video has went on. I'm going to go ahead and garnish these Red Velvet Pancakes. So yesterday, like I said, I mentioned that I did the cinnamon roll pancakes, which means that I had to make a cream cheese cream cheese glaze. Let's say a glaze, because a frosting, this would actually be too thin to frost your cake because it would just like slide off the cake. So this is a glaze. So glaze is something that's going to be of a thinner consistency. You would use a little bit more liquid than normal. So I have pastry bags, of course. The baker in me would have pastry bags. This is actually just one of the cheaper pastry bags. They actually have some, and it's disposable, and it's a large one. This is what I could just find really quickly in my pantry. Wilton also makes some awesome thicker plastic pastry bags, and they come in different sizes. And then there's the non-disposable ones. I actually have some non-disposable ones, but I've never used them. And the reason being is because when you're working with frostings and stuff like that, usually you use some type of oil content, whether it be butter or shortening. And I don't know, your stuff just gets all greasy and you gotta rinse it off and put all that mess down your sink, and I'm like, ugh. So I just put like a tablespoon. I'm gonna put a little bit more so I can have a good amount in the bag, even though I'm not gonna use all of this. So I put about 2 tablespoons in there. Feel free to use however much you want. The cream cheese glaze, I'll actually put in the description box. I'm actually going to put how I made it. If you watch the other video that I made, and it's not a live one or semi-live one like this, it's more of a just me, because I was actually I don't know why I didn't use my tripod yesterday, but I was actually kind of just holding my camera trying to do things with like one hand. So with the pastry bags, you always want to get your product down to the bottom. You want to squeeze out air. If you have air in your bag, once you cut your tip off and that air is with your frosting or whatever, it'll actually like splat out. With the pancakes, it's fine, but if you were actually decorating the cake, that's like a big no-no, unless you know how to fix it. So I'm only gonna cut like just a little bit off, like just right there, like literally just the tip, because you don't want it to run out. It will just start to run and drizzle out. So what I'm going to do, I'm not gonna weigh this, because I'm not gonna use any type of like pancake syrup or whatever. I'm actually gonna drizzle this onto the bottom pancake here. And it's still nice and hot, so it'll melt pretty well. And then I'm gonna drizzle on top. Remember, I put 2 tablespoons in there, so I tend to, like I said, I tend to eye things as well, so I'm okay with eating a tablespoon or so of cream cheese frosting. I'm gonna put this, cover this up and put this back in my fridge. I had to let it sit out to get room temperature. Oh, also to coat my griddle, I always use like a non-stick spray. This is olive oil. I usually use olive oil or canola oil. Usually olive oil though. So to wrap this up, because not right now, we only have our cream cheese frosting on there. And cream cheese frosting is pretty much traditionally used in Red Velvet anyway. So I had some pecan or pecan half, whichever way you want to pronounce it. I usually say pecan. I have some of those that I actually put in a little small, like a Ziploc bag, and then I crushed them with my, what did I crush these with? With a rolling pin. So really quickly, if you do not have pastry bags, no fret. You can always use like a Ziploc bag or like a little sandwich bag, and you would pretty much do the same thing. Just make sure you get everything in the corner and cut a little bit of the tip off, like only a little bit. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just garnish just a little bit with my pecans. Now, I've noticed over the years, like when I work with different nuts and adding them to like baked goods or whatever, or garnishing something with nuts, pecans tend to have a higher oil content. So or I don't know if it's the brand or whatever, but I'm like, I don't think they can make a pecan any oilier than how they grow. So basically, they have a higher oil content. They tend to stick together a little bit more than normal. So this is powdered sugar. I only use this to make it look pretty. Now, you can use like a sifter like this, but these have like larger holes. So I actually got this little thing, I don't know from how long ago, it still even has a tag on it, from IKEA. This is actually for tea, so I like tea. But I'm gonna actually put a little bit of powdered sugar up in here. And I'm just gonna garnish my pancakes with this. I'm making a mess here. I just like overpacked this. Okay. So it actually, I'm gonna bring this closer. It actually just like dusted really nicely. So it gives you the smaller, I guess, flakes or whatever you want to call them, sprinkles, versus if you use this, they're gonna come out more of a clump. I always like to put some type of like whipped cream or something on top. I just like to make stuff look pretty. Like I said, that's the baker in me. I definitely want to make sure it tastes good, but gotta make sure it looks pretty too. Who wants to eat something that doesn't look good? Throw a little bit of pecans on there just for garnish. And then I'm just gonna put a little bit more of this on top. And there we have it. So, Red Velvet Pancakes. Of course, I'm gonna have to taste this. So, like I said, it was my first time making them. What was that? Oh. So I will taste them on camera for you guys. And no, I will not have a fake reaction, because my reaction yesterday to the cinnamon roll pancakes, I didn't record it, but I was sitting in my family room, and when I put the first bite in my mouth, it was like a little party going on up in there. I'm like, oh, like it was, I had to pat myself on the back, like, wow, it was the first time. And I know like these aren't like original recipes or anything. I'm pretty sure you can Google and find this stuff. It's just that because I've been baking for so many years, you know, I have tweaked, you know, recipes. I've come up with my own recipes and things. Because like I said, I used to do vendor shows. So when I would do my vendor shows, I always wanted to bring something different and something unique and things like that. So, and I like to cut my pancakes in squares. I know some people like to do like a triangle. I like squares. I don't know. I got that from my dad. I think he started that. So let's see. I know this is probably not as hot as I would like it, but I'm just hoping it doesn't have like some weird artificial taste from the red dye. Oh no, not at all. This is good. This is really good. Like the amounts that I gave, the measurements that I gave based upon my serving size of pancake mix was perfect. And you see they're nice and red. This is good. So if you have like a nut allergy or something like that, you definitely don't want to use nuts. So like I said, this is just something I like to do. This is good. And I have egg whites, turkey sausage. Now, I used to think my breakfasts were boring. Not anymore. Oh, those are cold. I'm gonna have to reheat those, but this is so good, guys. So I really appreciate you all joining me today. Please like, subscribe, and share. And